Welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. I said a lot of different words on the thousands of hours of content on this channel, but probably one of the words that I've repeated more times than anything else is just the word time. And if you're not new to this channel, you know I've always said that there's only one person in the entire history of this hobby who is undefeated, and that is Father Time. And, you know, the funny thing about Father Time is sort of, in a way, the friendly way to refer to the Grim Reaper, because there's probably two people that are actually undefeated: Father Time and the Grim Reaper. And depending on how you look at those two people, they're potentially the same person, because while Father Time always wins out in the end, the Grim Reaper always wins out in the end too, as morbid as it is to say. But, you know, the topic of this video is simple. All your Pokemon invest and wishes have come true. And one of the big battle cries that I heard for a lot of people who got into the hobby in the last couple years were, you know, if I was around in the hobby in 2016, I would have bought more. If I was around in 2012, I would have bought more. If I was around in 2008, I would have bought more. If I was around this hobby during the transition from WotC to Nintendo, that crazy 2003 timeline, you know what? I would have bought more. And after the booms and the crazy booms that happened in 99, when WotC base set unlimited booster boxes reached down to $25 for 36 packs on Hill Wholesale Gaming, or the time when you could pick up dollar fossil packs or dollar jungle packs or dollar base set packs, you know, if I could go back in time, if I was in the hobby, I would have bought stuff. Well, guess what? Your wish came true. All that cheap product that you wanted, yeah, maybe you can't go back in time and pick up 99 vintage WotC stuff, but the time and the moment exists where you could pick up cheap 2022 product, cheap 2021 product, cheap 2023 product. Now, I think a lot of people said, well, if prices ever get cheap enough, if booster boxes get cheap enough, I wish I can see sub $80 booster boxes. I'd buy up a ton of this stuff. Well, your wish came true. Buy it. But now this is the thing. I'm watching what people are doing in this hobby, and I don't really see that. And I get it. And it's funny watching the progression of the collector in this hobby. And it's like a double-edged sword, too. You wonder if the hobby's going through like this big period of contraction where people are just maybe, there's so many questions, like, are people just becoming smarter with their money? Are people just becoming tighter with the money? Do people just have less money? Or the most dangerous and the thing that I fear the most is, what if people are just leaving the hobby? Now, when you look at this hobby, it's a massive hobby. This is Pokemon. No other TCGs come even close. When you look at your big guys like Magic the Gathering and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Dragon Ball and what's going on with One Piece right now, or Disney Lorcana, while all those are doing well, they don't hold a candle to Pokemon. And even sports cards. You know, I saw a PSA just recently, today, posted on their Twitter account, posted that TCG in 2023 was hands down, without even like a close second, was the #1 most graded cards by all of PSA. Just Charizard alone, ignoring all other Pokemon, just Charizard cards. PSA in 2023 graded over 400,000 Charizard cards. Pikachu cards, it graded over 300,000 cards. Just Mew cards, it graded over 100,000 cards. Pokemon is a behemoth. They are so far past everybody else when it comes to just, you know, the size of the IP, and not just the IP, but the size of, you know, what we care about really, and especially what this channel talks about most is the trading card game. But, you know, I'm wondering, like, what's going on? People got their wish. Why are they not picking up, you know, packs and stuff? You know, it was funny, like, there was a little while where Pokemon Go packs got sub $2. And I mentioned it during one of my videos. I was like, yeah, there's been some opportunities where you could pick up Pokemon Go packs for $2. And somebody in the comment section gave me pushback and was like, no, there's never been a chance where you could have got Pokemon Go packs for sub $2. And then in my head, I was like, no, there were definitely opportunities. And then just recently, we're seeing, opportunities of Silver Tempest packs at $2. There's, especially through distribution and stuff. And, there was a lot of people out there who always said, oh, you know what? I missed the boat. I wanted to get distribution, but I couldn't get distribution. They're no longer accepting new people. Well, you know what? There's probably going to be a lot of people leaving distribution pretty soon because the margins aren't there. Maybe the days of you can pick up from distribution at $85 or $95, depending on your agreement with distribution, and instantly flip those booster boxes onto the market and make a quick, 50 to 100%, depending on the set, depending on the release. Look at the craziness that was 2021 and the crazy sets that were released. Battle Styles sold out at 150. Specialty sets, Shining Fates. Shining Fates confirmed sales of $120, $130. That is a $50 ETB. That was over 100% people were making. And that's not their price they were paying. That was MSRP was 50. Their price from distribution was like 36, and they were able to sell for 120 plus. So then a lot of people cried, "Oh, if I could have got distribution, it's too late. I can't get distribution anymore." Well, guess what? Now people, if you wanted to, you can go, you can file the right paperwork, show that you're a business, that you have the ability to acquire product, and then reach out to some of these distributors and try to get your name out there and say, okay, I would like to apply to get product. But the problem is you can now just pick up product cheaper than you can at distribution just on the secondary market. You look at a lot of these super modern sets, Scarlet and Violet Base, Paldea Evolved, Obsidian Flames, Paradox Rift. They're all selling for distributor prices. So at this point where now people might have that opportunity to get distribution, they don't want to anymore. And it's just funny. It's like everybody wished this stuff would happen. What's playing out right now today at the end of December 2023. This is exactly what everybody asked for. You asked for this. You wanted this. Now that it's here, why do you feel you're not making the same moves that you were doing? Well, the reason you're probably not doing the moves that you said you would have done, or the moves you wish you could have done if you were in this hobby in a different timeline, is because history has this funny way of repeating itself. Because all the thought processes that were going on right now today are no different than the thought processes that were going on in 2016 or 2012 or 2008 or 2003. The thought processes in all that timeline was, I don't want to tie up money. I don't know how much this product will go up in the future. I don't know if there will be crazy gains and all this stuff. You can just remove all the conversations that people are having right now, all the reasons that people are given for the reasons they're not picking up a lot of this product super cheap. Booster box cases of modern product for sub $600. You can go on, pick up anything you want right now. People aren't doing that because the conversations they're having are just the same exact conversations that have always been had. Now, this is the thing too. There's just nuances to the conversation now, nuances to the argument now. So, but the funny thing is those nuances in the arguments are actually the same arguments people were having in the past. I'll give you an example. Today, people say, well, I don't want to buy a lot of this modern stuff because it's getting printed into absolute oblivion. Rewind to 2016. When you think of those later 2016 sets, Steam Siege, Evolutions, why didn't people want to pick up those sets? Probably the wording people would have said to you was, I'm not going to pick up Steam Siege and Evolutions because Pokemon's printing these sets into oblivion. There's no difference in the conversation. It's just the time we live in. And then sure, when you look back on stuff, the same way as Father Time is undefeated, the same way as the Grim Reaper is undefeated, Captain Hindsight is also undefeated. There's a lot, there's a couple undefeated people. We're going to have to expand the list on the amount of people that are undefeated. Captain Hindsight is undefeated too. So when you look back on those sets, you could go, oh, well, all this stuff, all these sets had this going for it. Maybe the supply wasn't as high as people think. Maybe a lot of the conversation was just that a lot of this product was available at distribution. Maybe because we just came out of a crazy hype period, because in 2016, we came out of a crazy hype period, which was Pokemon Go. In 2023, we're coming out of a crazy hype period, which was the lockdowns and the pandemic. It's the same conversation, but just the wording's a little bit different. Like the way people portray stuff maybe is a little bit different, but the overall arching themes are the same. It's the same way as you go back to my favorite timeline, which is 2003. So you go back to 2003, you go, well, I don't want to pick up a lot of this stuff because we just came out of a crazy hype period. Well, that crazy hype period was 1999, 2000. So in 2003, you didn't want to pick up product because we just came out of a crazy hype period. The conversation people will have is, I think a lot of people might have left the hobby. I think demand might be low for a lot of this product in the near term in the future. And then the last one is, maybe people would look at product in 2003 and say, I don't want to lock up a lot of money in this product. They're the same conversations. Verbatim, they're the same conversations. So it's just funny because when everything was going crazy and nobody could pick up anything, it's easy for people to just sit there and say, I would have done this. But given the opportunity in the future, I will. And then here we go. Here's the future. Your opportunity has presented itself. So why are people not capitalizing? And it just goes back to all those things that I just said. I think it's an easy answer. Now, are people fearful? Maybe. Are people over leveraged? Maybe. Have people just ran out of money? Maybe. There's a lot of maybes too, but like that's the reason why on this channel I'll have hour-long conversations or 30-plus minute-long conversations because you got to get into the nuances of this conversation. But, it's just like when I made the thumbnail for this video, it's just a lady at a wishing well, and her one wish was, I wish Pokemon was cheap again. And then that wishing well did its magic and made Pokemon cheap again. And then the well said, where did she go? Now, we are living in a different timeline too where, there's a lot of good deals out there. A lot of people talk about like the TikTok deals and stuff. And in the history of this hobby, there's always been good deals out there if you know where to look for them. Now, if you don't know where to look, you're always just going to run across Walmart shelves and Target shelves and, products always going to be maybe a little bit higher. But even at your Walmarts and Targets and maybe the more lag periods, everything was being fire sold. Some of I think of Burning Shadows ETBs. Burning Shadows ETBs were selling at $25. Here we go. There's a lot of Sword and Shield ETBs that are selling for $25. The $25 ETB I could think of right now is, it might be a little bit harder now, but Battle Styles at $25. There was a lot of sales for Chill and Rain ETBs at $25. There was a couple sales of like Brilliant Stars ETBs at $25. Lost Origin, Silver Tempest. A lot of these booster boxes, not booster boxes, ETBs reached down to $25. And what a lot of people did was they looked at that $25 and they said, I'll pass. I'll wait for something else. It's the same thing with those Burning Shadows ETBs at $25. People said, I'll wait for something else. Now, we live in this weird time too where don't take this video as a negative because we are still in one of the craziest boom times in the history of this hobby. And the reason why we are in this crazy boom time is there's a couple things. One, there's still way more people in the hobby today than there was at any other time in this hobby, in my opinion. And number two, we're seeing like real strong single prices for a lot of these sets, and a lot of the sets are performing a little bit different than we normally expect them to. I think a lot of that is there's some people that are really becoming master set collectors. And I think those master set collectors are really helping to like pump up the prices for a lot of these cards. A perfect example, Paradox Rift, you know, single prices did okay in comparison to super cheap sealed product prices. 151 singles did fantastic. Even at release, we saw a couple of them tick up in price. Same thing with Crown Zenith. Before, like, massive dumps of reprints of Crown Zenith came, for those real early print runs of Crown Zenith, we saw some of those prices for those cards tick up a little bit. Now, given enough supply, it drove those prices to the absolute ground. But I think a lot of the things that helped, you know, like, raise up Crown Zenith and helped 151 was just that secondary market single prices and the fact that people looked at a set and said, I want to own this set. I want to create this set into a master set. I want to make a binder of it. And, you know, that's a good thing. And I think there's a lot of good things going on in this hobby right now. But it's wild when you think about it. It's just, I'm looking around, it's just like everybody got their wish. Now, there's parts of this hobby that have seen no downturn whatsoever. And, you know, Pokemon does this very beautiful thing once in a while. Is Pokemon throws people a bone. And sure, when Pokemon throws people a little bone, I, like, beat it to death on this channel. So an example would be Special Delivery Charizard. I talked about Special Delivery Charizard till I was blue in the face. Pikachu in a gray felt hat. Shout out to my felt hat back there. I mean, those promos became available. People who bought them up, graded them, freed up a lot of cash, you know? Like, the Pokemon gives you these bones once in a while. Now, I'm just wondering if a lot of people are just going to start to wait for these bones. It's going to be like, okay, every year or every other year, we get this crazy product that just does super well. Special Delivery Charizard did super well. Before that, Special Delivery Bidoof did really well. Different release. You had to get an email. Not everybody got an email. I never got an email. So, not the same. But then, Special Delivery Pikachu, easiest one to pick up. Was literally available on Pokemon Center for a 7-day timeline. 7 days in this hobby might as well be a freaking eternity, especially when we look back on Pikachu with a gray felt hat promo, and those are available on PokemonCenter.com for an hour on the second release, and on the first release they were available for a matter of minutes. So to look back and say the Special Delivery Pikachu was available for an entire week, it seems like a long time. And then for, you know, depending on these different promos, whether you got the Umbreon promo from GameStop, you have that Charmander promo from 151, the Bulbasaur promos from Best Buys, like all those were little bones from Pokemon. Every single one of those did fantastic because they just had that little teeny barrier of entry. And that little teeny barrier of entry is sometimes all it takes for products to go crazy. But then, you know, we have all these other products that are just, they're not doing that great. You know, one of the things I think a lot of people really hope for is just for Pokemon print quality to just get better. And by that is every card you send away should have like a high likelihood of getting a 10. We know it's possible. We've seen what happened with, you know, Chinese 001 SV promos. 90% plus gem mint 10 rate. That's an English back. It's a Chinese front, but it's still an English back. We know it's possible to have a 90% plus gem 10 rate at PSA. All these Evolution Inagabas, all those have like 90% gem mint 10 rate. We know it's possible. We know if Pokemon wanted to, they can print like super high quality cards. So when you did start to open up product and you sent cards away for grading, your chances of hitting a 10 would be, you know, a decent high likelihood, but Pokemon's still not doing that. I don't know if that will ever change. It seems like it's getting worse, and there's been timelines in the hobby where it's worse than others. Whether it's current for Scarlet and Violet, we're seeing what's happening with a lot of these Scarlet and Violet sets and a lot of the print quality. Card stock is weak too, but then Sword and Shield. There were some really, really bad Sword and Shield sets. I mentioned Shining Fates earlier. The first wave of Shining Fates, with all the silvering that was on those baby Shinings, the first wave of Shining Fates was absolutely terrible. The first wave of Chill and Rain, absolutely terrible. And then rewind out of Sword and Shield, go back to Sun and Moon. Another set that I mentioned earlier on today's video was Burning Shadows. When I mentioned those Burning Shadows ETBs selling for $25, when you think about one of the worst like quality controls of any set ever, Burning Shadows has to be like in the top 5 of a lot of people's lists for worst print quality sets ever. But then remove yourself out of Sun and Moon and go to XY. You know, there was a lot of really like tough cards to grade in XY. And that's when you look at the chase cards of XY, you look at the pop reports, especially when you look at the pop reports in a 10, you're quickly reminded about how hard XY was to grade. And then when you rewind before XY and you look at black and white, shout out to Cool Train Orion. How many packs of different black and white products has Cool Train Orion opened recently? And you look at it and it's like black and white print quality was about as rough as print quality as you can get. So it's not new. I mean, but you would expect, like, eventually, given enough time, the print quality would get there, and we just haven't seen it. So maybe that's the one wish that people are still waiting on. They're still waiting on just print quality to get better. But and then I don't know if you guys saw. So on PokemonCenter.com, I mentioned it on my last video that there was a lot of people got lucky. There was a couple Pokemon or big drops that happened on PokemonCenter.com, and Sun and Moon base booster boxes went up. And the Sun and Moon base booster boxes were up for a long time. It was like an hour they were up. And it seemed like a ton of people got lucky picking up Sun and Moon base booster boxes. And, you know, we're far away from Sun and Moon base. It's literally like the beginning. It's in the name of it, right? Sun and Moon base, yes. Thank you, Captain Obvious. I got this. I'll take care of it, yeah. So, Captain Obvious was trying to explain to me, yes, Sun and Moon base is the first set. But we're far removed from that. So it was really weird to see so many booster boxes available on PokemonCenter.com. And it was super weird to see so many people getting confirmation emails on those. And then a lot of people started getting tracking for those. So it wasn't even just like they were there, they carded them, they paid them, then they got confirmation emails, then they got tracking info. Well, the tracking info wasn't for Sun and Moon base booster boxes. The tracking info ended up just being for like one single pack of Sun and Moon base, like in a sleeve blister, as a compensation from the Pokemon Center because they messed up. And they refunded everybody for all those Sun and Moon booster boxes. So, you know, even when things seem like too good to be true, maybe sometimes they are. You know, it's just PokemonCenter.com. I said it in my last video. I probably said it 100 times on this channel. It is the worst website that I've ever dealt with. Like, on occasion of more than one time. If this was any other company, if this was any other product, I would just never visit that website again. I would never try the buy product from that website. I would not support that website. The problem is it's Pokemon Center. It's Pokemon. It's where I'm going to get my releases. So it's like, as much as PokemonCenter.com gives with these sweet promos, it takes away too. So it's a bittersweet feeling. And like, don't get me wrong, I got lucky the other day. I picked up some Rebel Clash booster boxes. So I have now 5 Rebel Clash booster boxes. I had 1 before I picked up my 4. Now I have 5. I'm going to keep 2 of the ones I just got. So now I'm going to keep 3 in my collection. One's going to be for myself, and then I'm going to give 1 to each of my kids. And now I have 2 other booster boxes left. Somebody reached out to me to buy them. I said to buy 1. I gave them a price. I said $180 shipped. I looked at eBay comps and you know what my price from PokemonCenter.com was, plus taxes, plus shipping. I said $180 shipped. Never got back to me. So if anybody wants one of those Rebel Clash booster boxes for $180, I'll do it. But what I want to do with those is, if anybody wants to trade, I'm willing to trade one Rebel Clash booster box for two booster boxes of either, and it could be a mixed match of either Obsidian Flames, Paradox Rift, or Paradox Rift, Obsidian Flames, or whatever the second set is, just so I could start acquiring booster boxes for my kids, because I haven't done that yet either. I've acquired 0 Paradox Rift booster boxes. I've acquired 0 Obsidian Flames booster boxes. So if anybody wants to do a trade, like 2 of those booster boxes for one of these, and really the people I would like offer that trade to, or the only people that would really be worth it to take that trade, are the people that like picked up $70 booster boxes of, you know, Paradox Rift, or $70 booster boxes of Obsidian Flames from like some TikTok deal. And so they're sitting on 2 that they don't need because they already have that booster box, but maybe they need one Rebel Clash booster box to, you know, fill a gap in their collection for whatever reason. Maybe they didn't get one of every single Sword and Shield booster box, and Rebel Clash is one that they're missing. So if you guys want to do that trade, shoot me a message on Instagram. But yeah, that's about it. Just wanted to do this conversation. Now I'm going to go scroll up to the top of the chat, burn through the chat, and once we're done with that, it is what it is. See, number 1 mod in the game, Drew. I don't know how he does it, but he always manages to be the first comment. Appreciate you, Drew. Cashmere Fire said, what better do we have to do on a Friday night? Oh, I am tired. I got kids at home trying to like do orders tonight, packing up eBay listings. Ugh. It's just the way Father Time is undefeated. I'm running out of time, man. Time is such a valuable resource in this hobby. And still working a full-time job and stuff, it's tough to find the time. And sometimes my night just has to keep getting pushed a little bit later and later every time, just to be able to find the time earlier in the night to do other stuff. Cheval says, if I'm understanding this right, PK is telling us to buy Shining Fates ETBs. I'm not going to answer that question seriously, but I just looked on PokemonCenter.com yesterday, and Shining Fates ETBs are still available. Shining Fates collection boxes are still available, like the Pikachu collection box and stuff. It's crazy how much Shining Fates Pokemon printed. And I know everybody loves 151, and don't get me wrong, I also love 151. I think it's a fantastic set, and I think it has a lot of room to grow in the future. But if 151 keeps getting printed for years to come with the same exact print quality, or not print quality, like printing amount that Shining Fates got, I mean, 151. Can you imagine if 3 years from now we're looking and we're saying, oh man, can't believe 151 ETBs are still available on PokemonCenter.com the same way Shining Fates ETBs are? Now, people are going to make the argument, listen, PK, 151 and Shining Fates are not the same set. 151 is a far superior set. All Shining Fates has going for it is like a Charizard. I get it. I get that argument, but I promise you, there is a number that Pokemon could print of literally any product that exists that they could kill the market. And while right now it might feel like they could print as many booster bundles as 151 as Pokemon possibly wants, and there's no way Pokemon could ever kill the market of 151 booster bundles and stuff like that, I promise you, there does exist a number. I don't know what that number is, but there is a number that Pokemon can print enough of 151 booster bundles and all kinds of other stuff that all this stuff can potentially be available for years to come. If that happens, I don't know. I mean, we're coming into like new sets with like the new Shining set and stuff where it's wild. So J May said Lorcana is starting to crash, going to base set unlimited all over again. Enchanted sold in September for $165 raw and are $80 now. Lorcana is not a market I really follow. I did look at Lorcana booster boxes today because a lot of people were saying that prices had dropped down in like the 150s. And shout out to IVR. She has, if you guys don't know who IVR is, she used to be Queen Metazoo. She's been on this channel before. Her original like rise to fame was the washing machine Charizard. So she had the Charizard Holo from Crystal Guardians. She picked it up in a collection buy, accidentally washed it with her clothes, and then that TikTok short went crazy viral. I want to say it's up to millions of views. But anyways, Ivy ended up opening a card store down in Las Vegas called the TCG Garage. If you guys don't know who she is, I recommend you like checking out the TCG Garage, especially if you live in Vegas, checking out her Instagram. But I saw her post she had was Lorcana boxes $150 plus shipping. And I was like, $150? So are they still selling for this price? So I went on eBay, and it was tough to find boxes at that $150 or less price. And in fact, I even went and looked at P Football Pete. I think P Football Pete's Lorcana boxes were at $164.99. So, you know, usually P Football Pete's one of the cheapest, and he was still above that 160 price range. So Lorcana's that weird thing. Lorcana is going to be printed. This is not the last wave of Lorcana. Like, there's weird people out there that think Lorcana's not going to be printed heavily. It's going to be. Ravensburger went out of their way to make it very, very apparent to everyone. And you can go back to really old lives when I joined a live on Peak.Choose channel. This is going back before Disney Lorcana was even released. We talked about Disney Lorcana, and I went on this huge rant about exactly the way I thought Disney Lorcana was going to work out. I said right at release, whatever supply they release won't be enough. Prices will go absolutely crazy. Singles will go crazy. Sealed product will go crazy. And until that reprint happens, prices will just keep going up. And I even said one reprint might not even be enough to kill the price because there was so much hype. Because at the time, the baseball card investor guy, he had done that like weird Instagram video talking about how Lorcana was going to pass Disney, but whatever. It's just a stupid conversation. I'm not even going to entertain it. I think he was doing it more for just clicks and to create that drama. But I said in that video, I was like, and then the second wave will hit, and then prices will drop, and then more and more waves of Disney Lorcana will hit the market till eventually it will drive down these booster boxes enough to like where they're going to stay stagnant. And the people that did go really hard into Lorcana and aren't familiar with like what reprints, like what the impact of reprints have on the market, a lot of these people are going to be in for like harsh reality checks. That's one of the reasons still to this day I do not own any Disney Lorcana product. I just stayed away from it. I'm just going to wait. Now, I could be wrong. There's always a chance that this was the last print wave, but I doubt it. I seriously doubt this is the last massive wave of Disney Lorcana. I think that we see even more of this. And the reason why I say that is because Ravensburger went out of their way. Shout out to Zach, Gem Mint Pokemon. Gem Mint Pokemon talked about this when he was at the National in Chicago. He walked up to the Disney Lorcana booth because the very first booster boxes of Disney Lorcana that were ever like released were through like that event in Chicago, the National. And that was like the first people that got Disney Lorcana booster boxes. And then there was like a special event like the D23 event. That's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when people got like the actual main expansion booster boxes was at the National. And, you know, one of the things Zach did was he went up to that table and he was picking the brains of the people that were like building out this game, gonna understand like true print numbers and stuff. And he asked him, he's like, so what's going to be the chase? How hard are these going to be the pull? Like kind of asking like, in a way, what do you think secondary market prices were going to be doing in the future? And he said the way those people looked at him was like, dude, just so you know, this stuff will not be rare. We're not making any of this stuff rare. There will be no chases in the long run, and none of this product will be scarce in the future. And like we heard it right from those Ravensburgers people's mouths, so it's just, I don't know. We'll see what happens with Disney Lorcana. It's going to be tough to, like, keep this demand chugging along. And, you know, I hate, I got to phrase this right. Because it's going to sound like I'm, like, in a way, dancing on the grave of Metazoo. But I said a lot of the very similar stuff with Metazoo. If you do not know, I've had some of the most epic Metazoo rants just in the hobby have been on this channel where I've shit on Metazoo, and I've shit hard on Metazoo because I thought the way that Metazoo was releasing products, the way like they were looking at the market, the way they were talking about their cards, a lot of, like the early videos when they were comparing the Mothman to the Charizard, doing these comparisons to Pokemon, and then they real quickly got into that weird Discord group, and then they started putting out NFTs, and you name it, Metazoo was doing it. And Metazoo really pushed me off. Didn't like Metazoo at all. And a lot of the arguments and complaints I had about Metazoo, like, ended up being true in the future. It took a couple years. Just now, we're starting to see a lot of my rants really start to play out, and a lot of, like, we're seeing how weak the Metazoo market is right now. The Metazoo market is getting so weak that, there has to be a conversation of, is Metazoo still around in 2 years? And if Metazoo is around in 2 years, are they printing even close to the amount of product that it seems like they are currently printing? And Metazoo constantly makes mistakes over and over and over again. We saw what just happened with that Hello Kitty release. That happened on TCG Player. Everyone did their pre-orders at $2.99, and then they obviously couldn't sell enough of the product. Instantly slashed the price down in half, 50%. A lot of people that did the pre-orders lost money. Luckily, TCG Player did make right to all those people and ended up like refunding them the difference. So people who did do the pre-orders didn't get totally screwed over. But we saw what happened when Metazoo introduced map pricing, which meant people that had direct distribution through Metazoo, who were the quote-unquote Metazoo partners, were forced to sell product on like certain map pricing. But there was other people just said, screw that, I'm not selling map pricing, I'm just going to sell my booster boxes for $70, $80. And then by them doing that, they hurt all the people. It was just all these problems, and those were a lot of the things I had wrong with Metazoo. But so it's maybe not exactly the same at Disney Lorcana, but a lot of the fears that I had of how the future of Metazoo would play out is the same as I'm thinking about Lorcana. I'm fearful for the future of Disney Lorcana. All right. So Market Scalper said, I'm fine with a booster pack of Sun and Moon base. Okay. Just Average Jeff said, wish I could get in on these deals, but currently no money. Yeah, I hear you. Market Scalper said, Evolving Skies is probably the most printed and ripped set. It is performing well. Good sets will rip. Yeah, I would say that there is truth to that. And then, yeah, that comment is fair. Let's see. Pole Father, good to see you in the chat. So Team Rocket said, I'm almost done with the 151 master set that we are putting together. We came into the hobby because of knowing about 151. Other than that, we've been out of the hobby for over 20 years. Well, Team Rocket, welcome back to the hobby. I mean, if you came in on any set, 151 is definitely one of the best sets. In 2019, I think there was a pretty decent influx of a lot of people that came into this hobby. And one of the big sets in 2019 that was really a catalyst for a lot of people of re-entering was Hidden Fates. And the Hidden Fates, while it wasn't a strictly 151 original Pokemon set, one of the things that Hidden Fates really had going for it was the fact that it had a lot of those 151 Pokemon in it. So, and this is a conversation I hope Pokemon's having it internally. The same way as these 151 for us have been getting a lot of people of maybe our age demographic back into the hobby during certain timelines, because we were maybe around in that 99, 2000. So a lot of people flocked to that 151. I hope that Pokemon is saying, okay, well, this age group has now aged into Pokemon. And I use that terminology purposely, like aged into Pokemon, because when you were younger, you age out of Pokemon because, you collect Pokemon as a kid. You grow out of the game. It's more childish maybe in your mind, and you go into middle school and high school and college, so you grow out of Pokemon. But then you get old enough, you grow back into Pokemon, because then you get to the point in your life where you don't care if people know you like Pokemon. Pokemon's cool, I'm going to let everyone know Pokemon's cool, and I'm no longer embarrassed. Well, maybe when you were in high school and you're trying to chase after girls and, play sports and do all this stuff, maybe you're a little embarrassed to like Pokemon, so you grew out of it, then you grow back into Pokemon. Now, so we had our generation grew back into Pokemon, there's going to be these later generations that are going to start to grow back into Pokemon. So that means your Gen 2s, your Gen 3s, Gen 4s, Gen 5s, eventually we're going to start, checking off those boxes. So it'll be interesting if Pokemon's able to adapt. So saying, okay, maybe the next set we'll see is, a real heavy Gen 2, like, Pokemon set, very similar to what we saw with, like, the Neo sets, real heavy into Gen 2 Pokemon. And then, because that will be the next age demographic. And then in 5 years from now, maybe we'll start to see that Gen 3 really be pushed real hard. And we'll start to see, like, a lot of, like Rayquaza, heavy theme decks and stuff like that. Even though we're already kind of seeing that now too. But it'll be interesting if Pokemon is starting to think about this, thinking about like the aging of their newer collector base, or people starting to re-enter back into the hobby. Jared said he got so many print lines. Yeah, PokeKid, good to see you, my friend. Let's see. Team Rocket said absolutely. We even started the Team Rocket, the document. Yeah, that's nice, bud. #1 mod in the game, Drew. Appreciate you. So, Market Scalper said that the Sun and Moon packs were unsleeved. They weren't sleeved. I thought they were. I could have sworn the photo I saw showed like a single sleeved blister pack, but I could have been wrong. I guess they were just single packs. Kevin Clare said, I bet they found them lost again, yeah. So, Just Average Jeff said, Pokemon Company should care more about collectors because collectors are the reason they're still around 30 years later. Everyone is too short-sighted in a capitalistic society. I like that comment. That's very good. I think that is true. A lot of people, in a way, are very short-sighted. And if you think about it, in any hobby, are people more short-sighted in Pokemon? And what I mean by that is, look at the newest sets. The newest sets always sell for premiums. And the first-to-market cards, especially with graded cards, always sell for a premium. And then those prices always drop. Time after time, release after release, set after set. Just like the movie Groundhog's Day, you wake up every day, the day plays out exactly the same. Pokemon plays out exactly the same for all new set releases because people are very short-sighted. So yes, you are very correct when you say that there's a lot of people in this hobby that are very short-sighted. I agree 100%. Let's see. So J May said, Troves, the Disney Lorcana ETBs are holding value because they aren't reprinting those. Trove is more than a booster box. Interesting. I didn't know. So, interesting. So you're saying that there are people out there then that would just be... So Disney Lorcana is a big sealed product play then, because if people are picking up the ETBs and paying a premium of that, at that point you're not paying the premium to rip open that ETB and use or like open the packs up. At that point you're going to be paying a premium because you think of it as a sealed product play. That's interesting too. That is very dangerous because I can definitely see Disney coming back and reprinting those, like the equivalent of the Disney Lorcana ETBs. I could easily see them reprinting those. And we see what reprints of Pokemon ETBs do. Shout out to Vivid Voltage. What happened with Vivid Voltage ETBs when they got reprinted? Got crushed. Darkness Ablaze ETBs. You could go on PokemonCenter.com right now today and pick up a Darkness Ablaze ETB, still in stock in the PokemonCenter.com after that reprint. At the high, Darkness Ablaze ETBs were selling for $123. Yes, that is not a made-up number. Before the reprint, Darkness Ablaze ETBs, $123. And fast forward today, you can still pick them up on PokemonCenter.com. So if that is what people are doing, and they are speculating on these Disney Lorcana ETBs, I'm very fearful for a lot of these people and like how these plays may or may not work out for them. J May said, Lorcana is a far more playable game than Metazoo. Basic Trainers in the chat. Basic could tell you. Basic's been to all the different caster cups and all those different Metazoo tournaments. I don't know enough about the playability of Metazoo. I don't know enough about the playability of Disney Lorcana, so I can't really talk about either one of them. Chef 954, good to see you, buddy. I think I was, so the other day I was thinking about your Chef 954 because I just was at the grocery store and they had like the big king crab legs, and I was like, man, I kind of want to pick up some of these, but I don't really know like the proper way to cook a good king crab leg. So Chef 954, you might have to like give me some hints on the proper way to cook those big frozen king crab legs, because I love crab. Like, crab's one of my favorite foods. Not just like, I'll eat it, you know, whether it's sushi, I'll eat it in the rolls, but blue crab, love blue crab. Like, for a pasta, love a good like crab sauce. King crab, love king crab. Big crab guy. Let's see. So Smed's Pet says, been out since Roaring Skies, spent too much money on the early 2000 cards. Any recommendations for grading? PSA still king. Never done it. If you've never graded, though, I could definitely give you a recommendation if you've never graded. At this point, you sounds like you at least have a decent collection of cards, and you've probably never sent away any of them for grading, because that's what you said. My biggest recommendation to you is create a submission. Send out whatever like the bulk is. If bulk is minimum card submission of 10 cards, send out 10. If the minimum cards to send out for bulk is 20, send out 20 at the lowest possible tier. Look at all your cards, pre-grade them yourself, write down the grades, really look at the quality, and just pull that band-aid off. Do your first PSA submission, because you should never be buying modern PSA 10s. You should be grading PSA modern 10s. And once you start to do that, I think you'll really like find that the barrier to entry that is PSA grading, or even, I'll even say for CGC or SGC or Beckett, the barrier to entry to actually grade your own cards is not, it's not high. It's a very, very low barrier of entry. The only barrier of entry you got to do is make yourself an account, get some penny sleeves and some card saver ones, stick them in a flat rate box, and just ship them there. It's easy. Like, do it. If you've never sent a PSA submission before, do it. Pull that band-aid off. You'll thank yourself in the future. And then 4 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, it'll be hard pressed for you to even remember your first submission to PSA. And it's going to just be something that will become at that point second nature to you. But if you've never done that first submission, it can feel daunting, but don't let it feel daunting. Just do it, man. Tonight, as soon as this live is over, log on the PSA, create an account, create a submission. It's Friday, right? Saturday morning, post office close at 12. Get there before 12. Ship them out. You'll be happy. Definitely worth it. That is my recommendation to you. If you're getting back in the hobby, send your first graded card submission out. Do it. And, you know, if you have like a couple cards from your childhood that's, maybe you're like, hey, I just want these encapsulated. And maybe you think they're lower grades. Maybe they're 7s. Maybe they're 8s. But you just want them encapsulated because they were your childhood cards and you want them part of your personal collection. Pre-grade those too. Get familiar with what's the difference between a 7 and an 8. What's the difference between an 8 and a 9. And what's that big difference between a 9 and a 10. Sometimes even the best graders get them wrong once in a while. But it's good to get that experience out there. And like do your... And then when you do get to the point in the hobby where you want to start playing the first to market play, if you're going to play first to market play, you need to be a really good pre-grader, because you're probably going to be sending cards at a more expensive tier at that point, and you really don't want to be a poor pre-grader and get hit with a lot of 9s when you're trying to do first to market plays and stuff like that. So, yeah. But, let's see. So, Namp90, shout out to Namp90, great Instagram page. If number one mod in the game, Drew, if you're out there, can you drop a link to Namp90's Instagram page? Because he has a fantastic Instagram page. And he always is showing, like, highlighting different cards. Could be the biggest chases of sets, but also a highlight in, like, different commons, uncommons, you know. But showcasing the artwork. And if you guys love good artwork, I recommend you giving Namp90 a subscribe on Instagram. He said, I came back around Crimson Invasion. It's kind of crazy that he opened 2 Crimson Invasion 1-pack blisters, and that was enough for him to come back. Yeah. It's almost like the drug dealers, right? Like the drug dealers, like the first one's free because they know you'll be back. That should be like Pokemon's motto too. It's the first one's free because they know you'll be back. It's pretty wild. Oh, and then the next comment says, just average Jeff said, somebody gifted me a pack and that's what got him back into it. Okay, see? So for Jeff, the first pack literally was free. And then that was all it takes. Maybe that would be like a good investment for just all of us, is we just hand out random Pokemon packs to random people, and we'll be like, here's a random Pokemon pack, and they're like, what's this for? And it's like, don't worry, I'll get my money back from you in the future. Let's see. Reich Dog screws up. Political theory says trial and error with submissions. PSA used to be way more forgiving with 10s. Don't know if that's true anymore. Haven't graded cards in a while. Yes and no. Like, a lot of people, I made a whole video talking about this, but yes and no. And I will get into that conversation on a different video, but I'm about to wrap this one up pretty soon. PokeSol said, would I send Van Gogh Pikachus at bulk value or higher tier? So I sent all mine at value plus. I had 3 Pikachu and a gray felt hat promos. I sent 3 of my 5. I still have my other 2 sealed, and I have 100% gem mint 10 rate on those Pikachu with gray felt hat because I felt confident that they were a 10 after I opened them up, massaged out the corners. If you guys don't know what the massage in the corners is, I'm going to probably have to one day make how I submit cards to PSA and like show you how I like prepare my cards and stuff like that. But yeah, to answer your question, is it worth it to send it at bulk or value plus? Is if you think it's going to hit a 10 and you feel pretty confident, send it at value that value plus, because the difference between value plus and bulk is only $25. So you got to start to look at that dollar amount. Does it make sense to send it at value plus, spend that extra $25? Because I really truly think this is a 10, and then at that point you probably want to put it onto the market and sell it. So the faster you submit it, the faster you get it back, the faster you put it on the market, the faster you free up that money. Now, if you're asking me, nope, I'm going to take that Pikachu and a gray felt hat promo, I'm going to grade it into a 10, but I'm a 10 collector, and I want this card as part of my personal collection, well, then I'm going to tell you to send it at the cheapest possible way, which is $15, because at that point, time is not a factor to you. It's just part of your personal collection. All right. Mason Berry said, PK is so late, don't even get me going with Mason Berry. Been trying to get Mason Berry on this channel for a hot minute now. Mason Berry is just doing one of these. PK, pew, 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 pew. Fuck you, PK. Thanks a lot, Mason. Really, really hurts my feelings. So, Wreck-It says, question, hey PK, any general advice for somebody trying to collect Wizard of the Coast first edition binder sets? I have been buying graded hollows and cracking the slabs. What grade would you aim for? 6, 7, and 8s. At that point, buy the card, not the grade. So, not all 6s are created equal, not all 7s are created equal, not all 8s are created equal. But if you're a binder collector, yeah, just buy the card. Look at the high-res scans, look at the front, look at the back, and say, which one looks the best? Because at that point, and then shop around. You want to pay the cheapest price possible too. So, what grades would I aim for? If I was a binder collector, I would look for clean 6s. So a clean 6 would be maybe a card that has like a little dent in it that maybe kept it from getting a 10, especially with PSA. So I'd crack those like clean. That's why I call them clean 6s, meaning edges aren't all messed up, corners aren't all messed up, and then but if I wasn't going after clean 6s, I'd probably say 7. It would be my wheelhouse. Yeah. Rake Dog Screws Up said, with the super chat, said, thanks for sharing. I like your fire, friend. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate the super chat. So Poke Salt said, would definitely appreciate a PSA grading video. Thank you. Yeah. So those will come in the future. All right, guys. I did it. I went 54 minutes. A little bit longer than I was planning on going tonight. I think it's a good conversation. That back to the topic of this video is that a lot of cheap prices are now. Everybody that said they wish prices were low again and that they would be spending a lot of money, well, now's your opportunity. And if you do believe in Pokemon, if you believe in the longevity of Pokemon, if you think that a lot of these prices are really just transitory prices and that they're all going to go up in the future because you believe in the longevity of Pokemon, there might be a lot of buying opportunities right now today. And don't let those, pass you by, because you don't want to be kicking yourself in 10 years from now in the same way as you said, oh, I wish I could go back to 2016, the same way you wish you could go back to 2012. Well, you don't want to say that in 2035 and say, man, I really wish I could go back to 2023 when all that Scarlet and Violet stuff, all that Sword and Shield based stuff was super cheap. So Navy 7 said, why won't PK tell his subs that you can get 5% off all eBay purchases by buying eBay gift cards at Target with a red card? I have to look into that, Navy 7. I don't know. Is that true? But the Target red card, don't you have to pay like a membership fee for that? And if that's the case, how much? I'll make you a deal, Navy 7. I appreciate the super chat, and I will look into that about buying eBay gift cards and getting 5% off. So if that is the case, that might be a play. That might be a big play. So I appreciate the super chat, Navy. Appreciate every single one of you guys out there watching this video. Do me a favor before you click off this video. Hit that like button. If you're new to this channel, you made it to the end of a 56-minute long video. First of all, thank you very much. But second of all, hit that subscribe button. If you like to interact with the chat when I go live, hit that bell notification. But as always, appreciate every single one of you. Another special shout out to #1 mod in the game, Drew. I don't know how he does it. He's always there. Drew, really, really appreciate you. But for everybody else, I'll catch you on the next video.